I think it's terrifying to encounter other mothers who have also lost children to gun violence because their pain is just so evident still. It's a harsh reality to realize that it just will never get any better. I think people assume it does. I think this kind of pain never goes away. One thing I loved about Uvalde was that it was safe. It felt very safe. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that feel that way about the town that they're living in. And this still happened. And it can happen again. It will happen again. I just hope that the words resonate. People join this fight because it's going to take all of us.
It's going to take all of us. That's the words of Kimberly Rubio, mother of Lexi Rubio. She's one of the 19 folks and 17 children that were killed a year ago today in Uvalde, Texas at Robb Elementary School. Everyone heard about this. So as you guys heard there, she said it's going to take all of us. And it's no true words could be spoken because the reasons why things haven't happened much since is because it hasn't been all of us. In fact, it's been a minority of us that are willing to do something about this, specifically when it comes to people who have the power to do something about this. So she talked about how this kind of thing never leaves. I keep saying this. I said it a week ago, as it was the anniversary also of the Buffalo shooting at that grocery store up in Buffalo. And those folks went through their trauma again for the rest of their lives. Some of these people that also survived are feeling some of the trauma as well. Here's an account from one teacher that decided to continue teaching despite how close she was to the violence. Let's watch that.
I am a fourth grade teacher at Uvalde Elementary. So I was anxious, never before did I ever suffer from anxieties, like never. In a million years would I thought I would suffer from anxiety. But I knew that they needed me to be there. I knew the kids needed me, and that's why I went. I went for them. Nobody else but for them. So one of my kiddos made me a little card. It says, what I love about Mrs. Salas, and she made a list. And number 1 is she's funny. Number 2, she's nice. Number 3, she's kind. She's loving. She meets us and she gives us the world's best hugs ever.
Let me tell you guys what Mercedes Salas went through and the fact she's back teaching. Again, Robb Elementary is not the place, but at Uvalde, I believe, one of those other schools there. This is what she went through and reasons why this means so much to her. This is a quote from her from that day. She says, I could smell gunpowder coming into my classroom. It was super, super strong. Mercedes was in room 106. By the way, 106 was directly across the hall from rooms 111 and 112, where that gunman entered and started firing rounds with his AR-15. Quote, we heard screaming, and it was the worst screams I've ever heard, she said, becoming emotional. Then I didn't hear any screaming, and my brain is like, oh my God, he just killed them. So I heard them die. And ever since then, I still hear them at night. Mercedes says that she was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and received physical therapy for her injuries to her knees. By the way, the injuries to her knees came because when cops finally did show up and they busted out the windows and said, hurry up and come out, she crawled through that window and there was broken glass that cut her knees and her legs and multiple other body parts. And she didn't realize it at the time. But she also was the last to leave because she wanted to make sure her children and her students were out first. Still more from that quote. Recently, she said she says workers' compensation has denied her additional treatment for her knees, and she's fighting that. That's perfect. There were also moments during the school year when she would break down after class ended at 3:15 and she was actually alone. Sometimes it's hard. It's 3:30 p.m. and I just cry for no reason. Or it's 3:30 p.m. and I start smelling gunpowder at school. So I have to remind myself, you're not at Robb, you're at a new school. So it has not been the easiest times, but I'm still here for my kids. There's more of the response to this, but just off the top here, Ben, look, we have a year since this happened. We've been talking about other shootings, and it's always mass shootings, it's small shootings, it's a store shooting, it's another school shooting, it's constant like this. But I wanna start stressing more, and I've been guilty of this as well. It happens every day when it's 2 people that get shot because the threshold has to be 4 for a mass shooting. But our gun deaths and these numbers to this are contributed to by all these other events as well, and folks with similar stories.
Yeah, we are pitiful. We're in a pitiful place as a nation. I mean, the number of mass shootings we have is a national disgrace. It makes us the laughing stock of the world, and we have to even start counting mass shootings at 4, as though 3 people being killed at once weren't a mass shooting. It's ridiculous. You know, I spoke of my father passing away unexpectedly and how difficult that has been on our family, but at least he was an older man and somewhat near the life expectancy of human beings. And still it has been something that has been so difficult to process and recover from and try to move on with your normal life. Can you imagine exponentially how much more horrific it would be if it's your child instead of your father or mother? If it's someone at the beginning of their life that did nothing wrong ever, hadn't made their place in this world yet, and our stupid political leaders, our feckless, spineless, bought and paid for, corrupt political leaders sit there and say, oh, we can't do anything, let's not try and do anything, when there's obvious things you could do that would make obviously significant differences in the guns that kill people in these shootings getting into the wrong hands. And the only reason they don't do it is because this stupid, corrupt gun lobby pays them off. And they sold their souls. And I hope they look in the mirror and maybe one day while they're still in power, grow some gumption and some spine and change their opinion, reject that money, and do what is right.
As you point out, what feckless lawmakers, and I got to include people that talk about it, who affect and control these folks because of the narratives that they push for to push their political careers. I want to go to what some of these folks have been saying. I want you guys to keep in mind what, again, off the top, Kimberly Rubio and her daughter Lexi, who she lost, and how she wishes something else would be done so they can change this. In fact, she even went on in other parts of that to say that she doesn't want this to happen to anyone else because it's an endless cycle of feeling that pain. Keep that in mind as we again go to some of the things that lawmakers and pundits say in response to this stuff.
We cannot allow them to emotionally hijack the narrative.
So it's a horrible, horrible situation, and we're not going to fix it.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year. A free society comes with a cost.
That's the response for these families. They don't really care. As a matter of fact, they advocate for more of it. That's just pundits, and it's also just one senator there. One representative there, Burchett in Tennessee. That's just 2 of them. How about a governor of an entire state where this happened? Remember, this happened, and by the way, Governor Abbott, obviously the governor of Texas. After that whole thing happened, this is what he said.
What happened in Uvalde is a horrific tragedy that cannot be tolerated in the state of Texas. Our job is multifold. First, to make sure we address exactly what happened at this crime scene. And then second, to make sure we take that information and do everything that is necessary to ensure that crime scenes like this are not going to be repeated in the future.
Governor Abbott said, do everything necessary to ensure these crime scenes are not going to be repeated. That's what he said last year, 1 year ago. You want to know what has happened in that 1 year since Governor Abbott promised to never have that happen again? Well, here's one of the things, just one small thing there. The AP reported that, you remember that whole mall shooting where that couple is killed at that Texas mall along with their 3-year-old son, and they point out their perfect synergy within their family that has been destroyed forever, ever since. And there's a kid that still remains from that family that actually survived. What's gonna come of their lives? Governor Abbott doesn't care. He has nothing to do with that. By the way, there was 8 victims in that mall shooting and 7 more that were injured at least. So what has Governor Abbott done? I'm gonna tell you a couple of these things really fast. After months of pleading for more gun control measures, this is what's happening in Texas. This isn't just Abbott, it's all of them. A Democrat who represents Uvalde, where 19 children died in that mass shooting, was told by the Republican leader of the state Senate to stop bringing up gun legislation or be barred from speaking at all. We're sick of hearing about what you want to do when it comes to people being murdered in this state. I was gonna say country, just right there in that state, even just that town. Who cares? There's more. In the past 2 years, as the state has been shaken by more than a dozen mass killings of 4 or more people, Texas has increased access to firearms, doing away with its permit requirements to carry handguns and lowering the age when adults can carry handguns from 18 to 21. And on Sunday, Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, attended a vigil for the victims. This is back when that shooting happened at the mall, of the shooting at the shopping center, but said earlier that there would be no new effort by his administration to limit access to firearms. You know why? Because he says it wouldn't even work. So after he said we're gonna limit and try and stop these things from happening again, after it happened again, he said, I don't care. Who said something about limiting and ending these? Nothing's gonna work. Who says that? I said that so you guys can get off my effing back and stop bugging me about these dead people in my state that could have easily been prevented. There's something he's doing today though, Ben. This is from his website, from the office of the Texas governor. This is the game changer. He's looking to lower some flags to half staff. And he calls for a statewide moment of silence on the anniversary of those children being massacred in their school for going to school. Changes everything. Your last thoughts here, Ben?
Yeah, he lowers the flags instead of lowering the guns. It's so pitiful and so disgusting, and it's so obviously corruption spilling out of the mouth of these politicians when they are in power, they are in government, and they say, we can't do anything to fix it while we are in power, controlling the government. If you believe that, get the F out of government. You don't believe government can affect change, it can only affect taxes that affect your pocketbook in a positive way? Get out, go make your money. You make plenty of money in the private sector. Let people with hearts who are willing to put their emotions, their values, and their actions on the line to make change. If not, get out of the damn way. You have blood on your hands if you don't.